Call to order the October 5th, 2021 Norristown Council meeting. Can I have a moment of silence, pledge of allegiance?
That's right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, can I have roll call, please?
Valerie Bergman.
Aye.
Nikki Jones.
Here.
Sonia Sanders.
Here.
Heather Lewis.
Here.
Rebecca Smith.
Here.
Thomas LaPera.
Here.
Barry Ferry.
Okay, we had an executive session announcement on a real estate matter. And we'll go into announcements. Ms. Pfister. Yes, proceed.
Excuse me, point of order, motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Announcements.
I'll actually do it because I
Okay.
think it puts Kathy in a little bit of an awkward position, but we did want to take the opportunity to, for council to know and acknowledge the fact that once again, the finance department received the government finance officers distinguished budget presentation award. There were over 1,700 participants who submitted, and we're one of the ones that got a reward for our annual budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021. And it's the highest recognition actually that a governmental budgeting agency can receive. And I'll tell you, we've been, one of the goals we certainly had coming in the door was for our finance department to be able to get it set to a point where this was a routine thing that we receive. It's a lot of hard work, and I want to personally say that Kathy does an exceptional job of leading that team and continues to take them to even higher heights. So I appreciate what the finance department has done. I know you do, and we wanted to just acknowledge that in front of you guys.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments?
I had a comment. Yeah, I just thank you guys. I've noticed over the years that our budget has become pretty transparent. A lot of times when people ask about the budget, it's a lot easier to find it now. It's on the internet. It's usually pretty broken down, even for someone who's not as technical when it comes to numbers. So I've noticed a positive improvement over the years where we're at today. So thank y'all.
Council, any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we will move on to
Oh, I
public.
have an announcement. I didn't have a question.
Okay.
So, we will be hosting the 6th annual Trunk or Treat this year at the Norristown Rec Center. It was a huge success at that location last year. So, and with the pandemic, the schools have not allowed us to use any of their parking lots. So the Rec Center is an awesome spot. It worked out really well. It will be held on October 31st from 4 to 7. So I believe I've sent an email out to everybody sitting at this table to encourage them to get dressed up and participate. There is an award for the best decorated trunk, and I think the fire department has been the leader in wins. So I'll just put that out. I just put that. Actually, no, I think the sheriff's department won.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, the sheriff's
Don't rub it
department
in, don't rub it in, don't rub it in.
The sheriff's department did win one year also, so it's 1-1. So yeah, it's a good time and a safe alternative to trick or treating for the kids, and it's really a good time. So if you can make it, come on out.
Excellent.
Any other announcements? Seeing none, we'll move into public comment. Madam Secretary, we have public comment.
Yes. Alexandra Macaloso.
You can stand up and just state your name and address.
I'm here because after speaking with the President, Mr. Perry, he advised me to make a public statement at the council meeting. I'll try to be very brief because this could go on for a while. I live across the street at 28 West Main, and 3 doors down is a rooming house, where a woman that is known to the police department resides there, and she's a constant source of trouble. I've lived there for 4 years. September 6th, she was blocking the stairs in my building, and I tried to ask her to leave so I could pass, and she proceeded to attack me and smashed my head into the wall, giving me a lump on my head. I called the police, and Officer Butterworth responded, and to make a long story short, he said he could only issue her a citation for harassment, which surprised me a whole lot because she had just violently attacked me. He told me to Google some things about the law on my computer. The next day I was too afraid to leave home. The following day, on the 8th, I had to leave. Since I'm hard of hearing, I can't hear it if somebody's creeping up behind me, which sure enough, that happened. As I go to open the door to my building to exit, I hear a noise, I look around, and it's that person, whose name is Nisi, shoves me out the door. As I stumble and try to catch myself, she comes out and punches me in the face in the orbital area here, knocking my glasses off my face and breaking them, of course. The same officer responded. Again, a citation for harassment. I called the police department later. I do not remember who I spoke to. I will not swear that it's Lieutenant Bishop, because I'm not entirely sure, but I was told that basically that's all they could do. And that I kept asking, well, what will it take to arrest this person? Because clearly a ticket for harassment has not stopped her from assaulting me and violently attacking me. I really didn't get an answer about that, which is why I had to go to Matt Bradford's office, and Melissa Rattano told me Heather Lewis would get in touch with me. After a week and a half, nothing happened. Nobody got in touch with me. That's when I met with Mr. Perry upon Melissa's suggestion. And that same day, Lieutenant Bishop also got in touch with me. I explained him everything again in detail. And basically all I got is that they already know she's an assaultive person, and she's a drug user and drug dealer. And I was told that unless she shows a pattern, which he already admitted she has a pattern, unless she shows a pattern of assaulting me, nothing can get done. So basically, I have to live my life waiting for when is the next time I'm going to be violently attacked by this person. I cannot go out to wait for delivery. I cannot go out to get my mail. And I cannot go do my laundry because the laundromat is between the two buildings, and you can't do laundry and be high alert to not be attacked by someone that keeps wandering around the building, trespassing and buying and using drugs, because I've observed her doing that on many occasions. So basically, in a nutshell, I am informed by Lieutenant Bishop that, oh well, too bad, I just got to sit around and wait until the next time I'm violently attacked, or even worse, that killed, before anything is done. So I'd like to know why I got to live my life in complete fear. Oh, and he also told me I should, quote, try to avoid her. How in God's name, excuse me, am I supposed to avoid somebody who is trespassing in my building, short of barricading myself in my apartment and never leaving for any reason again? So all of this leaves me rather disturbed and upset, because I have gone to all sorts of offices and made all sorts of phone calls to find out why this wholly inappropriate response and no resolution to this issue. And so, as I said, I explained this to Mr. Perry when I met with him.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. We have a time limit on our public comment. I'm sorry. Thank you, and we will follow up with you.
You say something I'm hard of hearing?
We have a time limit on our public comment, but we will follow up with you. Thank you. Madam Secretary, any other public comment?
No, there's not.
Anybody here want to do a public comment that didn't sign up? Seeing none, we'll move on to Parks and Rec. Commissioner Nardi.
Hi. So I have two resolutions. The first one is resolution number 2173. So from the first flood, which was August 4th, 2020, when it took out the basement, it took out contents, and some of the contents was the furniture. With that, coincidentally, the date of our install date for our furniture was September 1st of 21. Good thing I didn't come. So this is from the first time we flooded in 2020. So the furniture will be used. We're just going to put it throughout the building where we have, more safer spaces from Mother Nature. We will be using it in various game rooms, in some areas upstairs that are more of a computer lab environment, and we'll have it kind of in the lobby for, if people want to sit and things. So we will be using this. This is just to finalize the purchase of the recreation equipment from Corbett, and it'll be covered with insurance funding.
Council, any questions?
I have a question. Hey, Erica, thank you.
Hi, sir.
So if this equipment is geared for classroom space in the basement, right? Is it going to fit, and is it going to
Yeah, this is the,
accommodating for the upstairs and the other floors?
so this is the furniture that I'm speaking about is what kind of seating is it? It's not.
The lounge?
Thank you. It was that's the room. It was the lounge seating that was in the lobby floor, so it was more booth seating. It's more of a booth style, so we can, and there was a lot of more like cushioned chairs with side end tables. There's stuff that we can move up to the lobby a little bit. We can put some of that booth style, in the computer lab area. If kids we have some of the partitions that they didn't need. We brought them over for homework spaces, so we can definitely, it'll be used throughout the building. Okay.
Council, any other questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the resolution number 21-73, the approval of furniture for the recreation center basement that was lost in the flood?
So moved. Second.
Madam Secretary, can I have roll call?
Valerie Newman,
Aye.
Hakeem Jones,
Aye.
Sonia Sanders,
Aye.
Heather Lewis,
Aye.
Rebecca Smith,
Aye.
Thomas LaPera.
Aye.
President Perry, are you here now?
I'm here, aye.
Okay.
The ayes have it, motion passes, resolution passes. Ms. Gennardi, want to take us into resolution 21-78?
Yes, so this is just the finalizing change order for EC Fence Works for the Latchwell McCarthy Field and the Little League Field Complex. Again, this is from the August 4th, 2020 flood remediation. So once the adjuster came out, he kind of did surface stuff. Once our contractors got into it, there was a lot more underlying safety issues that needed to be completed before you could put the fencing back up. So this is the full amount for the change order form for EC fencing. That will be covered by insurance as well.
Council, any other questions? Councilman Jones?
I had a question about the insurance. So we experienced 2 floods, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first flood claim, it resulted in a claim that allowed us to install and fix all the fencing.
Yes.
The second go around, the second flood damaged those same fences. So are we looking at
Same
another
Same.
insurance claim?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the same process. I've already started, we've already started for you. Adjusters have already been out. I'm working with finance to pull even invoices so they can compare. We're trying to make it as cut and dry this time because it is very similar. We're also looking into programs that can kind of help protect this since it's the exact same thing to the exact same materials and equipment. So we're working with the insurance to get kind of in a program to help protect us a little bit for future natural disasters.
Can you elaborate what you mean by program?
Like, so I know.
So for the insurance side?
Yeah,
or are they
insurance
looking
side.
at, is there any, flood resistant fencing? Or
So,
is there a way
yes.
to protect?
That's what we're looking
This.
at, how, for fencing wise and outside wise, it's something that we're speaking about now. I'm working with Paul from Pinoni. In the building, we have flood doors that we will be installing, and it's a program through our insurance company where, so with homeowners, if the exact same part of your house is destroyed in the exact same manner, it's kind of, it's put where it's just automatic kind of coverage is applied to it versus a claim every time. So, and the more upgrades we do to increase like safety with flood doors, the more the insurance can help in that aspect and cover
We're
it.
taking the necessary
Right.
precautions.
So that's what we're looking to do, because where I think, government and commercial, you kind of have to maneuver, so we're working on that together with Sedgwick. Yes.
Good, thank you.
Council, any other questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion to pass resolution number 21-78, change order for EC Fence Works?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Valerie Noman,
Aye.
Hakeem Jones,
Aye.
Sonia Sanders,
Aye.
Heather Lewis,
Aye.
Rebecca Smith,
Aye.
Thomas LaPara,
Aye.
Derek Perry.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much. Building codes and enforcement, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Vice President LaPera. Council, before you is a request to approve 5 certificate of appropriateness. As you are aware, the Norristown HARB receives applications on a monthly basis for exterior repairs and renovations for properties that are located in Norristown's historic districts. Those applications are reviewed by our HARB board and the members to confirm that the repair and or renovation work is in compliance with our municipal ordinance. These 5 properties were reviewed by HARB and they are recommending approval as either submitted or modified. And the properties in question are 23 East Erie Street, 520 Church Street Part 1, 520 Church Street Part 2, 542 Sweet Street, and 543 Astor Street.
Council, any questions? Seeing none. Can I have a motion to approve the Historical Architectural Review Board September 2021?
So moved. Second.
Madam Secretary?
Valerie Noman,
Aye.
Hakeem Jones,
Aye.
Sonia Sanders,
Aye.
Heather Lewis,
Aye.
Rebecca Smith,
Aye.
Thomas LaPara,
Aye.
Derek Perry.
Mr. Vice President, if I might.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're good?
Yeah, but I did want to add something after the vote.
Oh, all in favor, ayes have it, motion passes. Mr. Jim?
Thank you. I didn't get this in time to add it to the agenda, but I also wanted to make you aware that Mr. Singh just was awarded by the National Institute of Building Sciences, which was established by Congress in 1974, as one of the 2021 future leaders. So he has received that. Didn't want to let that go. Thank you.
Just as long as we don't get a change order for Mr. Singh's trophy case.
Everyone's trophy case. I mean, we have award-winning staff here, so it's
No,
definitely
congratulations.
underrated. You guys are definitely appreciated.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, we'll move on to finance. Ms. Pfister.
Thank you. Tonight I've submitted resolution number 2177 to get approval for the minimum municipal obligation to be budgeted for police, fire, and non-uniform pension plans for 2022. The amount in total is $3,151,881. This came in about $500,000 less than we had to contribute this year, primarily due to the pension plans having a great year financially in the investments. So I would like to request your approval to pay this out in 2022.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve resolution number 21-77?
So moved. Second.
Madam Secretary?
Valerie Noman,
Aye.
Hakeem Jones,
Aye.
Sonia Sanders,
Aye.
Heather Lewis,
Aye.
Rebecca Smith,
Aye.
Thomas LaPara,
Aye.
Derek Perry.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much. We'll move into departmental reports. And we'll start with Chief Dillon.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So In 2021, our goals and objectives that we were seeking was maintain serious crime below 623, which would be our lowest number of Part 1 crimes on record. Our reduction will come by reducing the following types of crimes: wolfpack robberies, street robberies, theft from autos, and auto theft. Additionally, we currently have 543 Part 1 crimes, so we're below where our objective is at this point. We have reduced robberies, whether wolfpack or street crime robberies, by about 28% this year from where we were last year. So I'm pleased with that. Additionally, objective number 2 is maintain current rate of fatal, non-fatal shootings at less than 10. Currently, we have 9 fatal, non-fatal shootings, so we have 6 non-fatal and 3 fatal shootings so far this year. So we're one under where we anticipated where we wanted to be. If you would like, I could certainly go into what's been going on with them. I know it's of interest.
I think that would be pertinent to the community to actually go in depth with those.
So in general, nationally, violence ticked up nationally during 2020. Started midway May, June. It started rising pretty substantially throughout the nation. There's a number of reasons for that. The COVID lockdowns increased domestic violence incidents dramatically. We had an uptick in them, I think about 18% in 2020. George Floyd's death and everything that went around that with the protests, and then what followed up from that moving forward. There's different attitudes now. The public's attitude towards police and policing changed. It led to some defunding in a number of cities, and it led to some transparency issues in a lot of cities. We did not see the amount of violence that other urban communities have, even the ones within southeast Pennsylvania. Chester, for instance, similar size and scope to us. Camden in New Jersey, a couple of cities within Delaware, they all saw a fairly dramatic rise. We didn't experience that, which I'm glad to say. We did not. We've also are going through a bail reform. So locally in Montgomery County, bail reform has come upon us. It is going to need some tweaking. I think down the road, what occurred from that was that we were not able to incarcerate people that we knew had committed violent acts. They simply weren't being incarcerated. There are some people within our community that act badly on a number of occasions, and to remove them from our community is the best thing that happens. And sometimes, starting in 2020, that did not occur. Additionally, because of COVID, we had a number of people who were committed to prison, but went there and experienced some type of symptoms of COVID, and they simply were not put in the prison. So they were released back into our community. Additionally, the state prison system released almost 6,200 people back in the state of Pennsylvania, which was concerning. I spent a large portion of 2020 going around and talking to our counterparts in the parole system at the district attorney's office, and we would evaluate on a case-by-case basis those being released back into our community. But unfortunately, there was quite a bit released in our community. I'm looking into getting the numbers for Mr. Jones. He's wanted those. So I'm going to work on seeing that that's done. Also, stop detaining violent juveniles, multi-offender juveniles. Sometimes it would take 7 to 8 times in which we came in contact with them or detained them before they would be admitted into the juvenile system, which I think is unfortunate, because the juvenile system, even if we reduce the number of arrests, which we have, it still has services and things it can provide: psychological counseling, parents' involvement, juvenile probation. Even if we can't refer kids, they certainly can gather something from the juvenile system as opposed to the adult system. So when I look at specifically, say 2020 from 2019, we saw an uptick of about 26% in these violent crimes. So when I look at 2021, we've had a total of 12 people that have been shot this year. However, 3 of them resulted in a homicide. We have closed all 3 homicides. One was a negligent discharge in which a young lady was killed. The shooter in that case was doing social media with a real gun. He was trying to put something on social media and accidentally shot his friend. 3 of these were self-inflicted gunshot wounds, and one was self-defense during commission of a robbery. Our victim shot or led to the person who was robbing him to be shot. So we have 9 total non-fatal fatal shootings this year. It puts us 1 below where we want to be, and we're also 1 ahead of where we were last year at this time. We've been able to determine 7 were part of a dispute or retaliation. 4 of the 7 were committed by males under the age of 23. 3 of those 4 were committed by juveniles between 17 and 15 years of age. 1 was a domestic dispute, and 1 we don't know the reason for it. Since August 1st, we've noticed a tick-up in our violent crime, specifically in shootings, non-fatal, fatal shootings, and also our shots fired incidents. Now, we consider shots fired incidents anything in which people may have been targeted, but were not struck by bullets. Usually these result in vehicles being damaged, houses being struck. So when I differentiate between shootings and shots fired incidents, that's a context in which it is. So year to date, since August 1st, we've had 1 homicide, and we had 3 non-fatal shootings. We've made arrests in all of those. Year to date, we've made arrests in 60% of our shootings. That number would be higher if we actually included the arrests we've made on either weapons offenses or drug offenses on suspects that were unable to arrest for the actual shooting, so lack of cooperation. When there's a lack of cooperation, we know that there is people that are involved in these that are either victims or shooters or a combination of both within these groups. And when they don't cooperate, we see a lot of the same names and things pop up. So we open gun investigations. So when we've done that, we're successful in our. We have a lot of these kids that are running around and they're straw purchasing guns. We've arrested quite a few people for straw purchasing guns from Philadelphia to Norristown to the suburbs around us. We've taken, I think to date in these straw purchasing cases, probably about 80 some guns off the street within the last year. Within the last 3 years, we've removed 446 guns from Norristown streets. So of these, what we also do is we track cases outside of Norristown. So 3 in Philadelphia, 1 in Plymouth, in which our people are involved. We know that our people are involved in them from Norristown because we need to track them, because what inevitably will happen is they go to Philly, they get involved in shootings down in Philly. Those that aren't hospitalized or make it back, there's always going to be some form of retaliation comes back to Norristown. So we track them. We assist the other departments in investigating these. All of these have been shootouts between 2 or more people from various sides. The ones down in Philly resulted in a total of 9 victims from Norristown, 8 males and a female. Of these, the victims or shooters are all under the age of 19, with the exception of 2 victims in the Plymouth shooting that were over the age of 30. Of these, most of the victims and shooters have been repeat victims or shooters in Norristown incidents. So when we track these outside cases and we refer them back to the people that are involved in Norristown, we've also found that they have been either targeted or involved in shots fired shooting incidents here in Norristown. So when we move on to shots fired incidents, they also picked up in August. September was probably a harsher month in uptick, but so far we've totaled 41 shots fired incidents, so we're 3 ahead of where we were last year. Our shots fired incidents have continued to increase. since we started tracking them. So 2014, when Chief Talbot came in, we started tracking all of these, and we have continuously gone up year after year in shots fired. Now, normally I think that's a good thing if our shots fired, may be hard to understand, but if our shots fired increases but we have less victims, that's actually not a bad thing. But needless to say, we've made arrests or have issued warrants since the August 11th when they started with arrests or issued warrants for 4 of the people involved. That includes the 1 homicide and 4 shootings. Of these incidents, we determined that there are 3 individuals that were confirmed to have been involved in at least 6 of these incidents this year. So when the people we've arrested or the people we have warrants for are involved and responsible for multiple shots fired incidents or other shootings, either here or in Philadelphia, and 1 in Plymouth. So additionally, these same individuals have been in total combined 13 shots fired incidents in 2021. So the same people are involved in many of our cases. And it basically comes back to shots fired, we miss, we retaliate. If we miss, another retaliation comes. So additionally, we've developed person of interest in over half of all the incidents this year, which are person of interest or at least one other, involved in at least one other shots fired incident, mostly first shots and then retaliation from that point on. In our person of interest in the shots fired incidents, mostly are under the age of 22. Highest percentage is 72% of them being between the ages of 15 and 19. Mostly all male. So this month, or September, we had an unusual occurrence. We had a gentleman that was killed. He was just sitting on the step between 2 groups of people, 4 total, 2 on each side, and unloaded close to 40 rounds into the 600 block of Astor Street. The last shot fired actually struck our victim in the head, and he died immediately. So we rarely have innocent people that are struck. It's a travesty when this type of thing happens. When I say innocent, I just mean not involved. And by no means was he involved in anything. Fortunately, we've arrested 2 people that were involved in that. We have a warrant for a 3rd, and we probably will have a warrant for the 4th individual that was involved in that shortly, probably later on this week. Moving in, then 2 days later, we ended up having an unusual shots fired incident where we had 8 female juveniles that fought at the high school. It carried over. They agreed to meet to escalate the fight in the 600 block of Corson Street. They did fight. Adults drove them to this location to fight, at which point one of the females was maced. Someone produced a gun, one of the adult mothers of one of the females that was maced, and then one of the adult females on the other side also pulled a gun, and they began exchanging gunfire in the 600 block of Corson Street. So we have 7 juvenile females that we are going to charge for the escalating fight, and then we have 3 adults that we're also going to charge for that incident as well. 4 days after that, we had a targeted shootout in the 900 block of Arch Street. The intended target of that has been, shot in Philadelphia, shot at here with his best friend that was shot last year. His car and his friends were involved in a homicide in Philadelphia in late August. So we anticipate that may not end because they're going to keep coming back and targeting them. Unfortunately, what we found with the Philadelphia people who come here to shoot, they are better at it. And when that occurs, there could be more of our people being shot. So we are monitoring that closely. We are following him the best we can. and kind of ensure that the retaliation doesn't come. We usually have a 48-hour to 96-hour window, so when we have shots fired and we develop who may be targeted, usually within 48 hours and 96 hours, we have some kind of retaliation, whether it's here in another town. And so far, we've been lucky that that has not occurred. Although last night we had a shots fired at Oak Smith Street. We have that on video. It's an unusual circumstance. We're not sure exactly what happened. A gentleman who's a resident of that area, older, sitting in his car talking on his cell phone, was targeted. We're not sure why. He doesn't know why. We're lucky that he had a old 95 Cadillac DeVille that has metal plates and seats and headrests. And two of the bullets hit, one hit the headrest and what was lodged in a metal sheet. The other one went through the back seat and lodged in a metal plate there. So he narrowly missed dying last night. But we're working on that to try to figure out why that occurred and see if we can go from there. Violence has ticked up across the country. We're lucky that it isn't as bad as it is other urban areas, if that's any kind of solace. But, we have done, I think, an outstanding job. We're higher in our solve rates than most of the nation. Most of the nation's probably around 22%, or above 60. So, when we actually investigate cases and anything else, we tend to close them at a very high rate. It's one of the beauties about Norristown. It's a big town, big city, but it's actually a small city, and we know a lot of the people. And since we have repeat people that are involved in these things, because we don't have thousands of bad people in Norristown. We have a select few that tend to solve their problems with violence, and so we can narrow down a lot through that. We have good people, So at that point, I'll rest. But does anyone have any questions right now?
Council, any questions? Thank you for the detailed report.
I have a question. Thanks for the report. Are there any ongoing discussions between municipality, school district, Norristown Police, West Norton Police, any ongoing activities? I know previous years there were programs in the high schools, there were programs in the middle schools. Are there any plans to pick some of that stuff up as far as trying to engage our teens? 15 and 19 is a high school age, and that's a pretty common age, and the little bit of activities they have, the more likely they are to get into trouble. So I'm just curious to know what can we do to give that age bracket more organized activities, more athletic opportunity, more access to our fields, or I think that's a big problem in itself. I mean, that's for police, that's for administration, for my colleagues.
I want to be as precise about this as I can, because I don't want to offend anybody or anything else. We had programs established with the school district prior to COVID. There were some administrative changes within the school district. They do not favor police involvement as much as they have. We had a lot of cooperation between, we used to have meetings regularly with juvenile probation, school administrators within Norristown Police Department and social service agencies. We had formed something called a Child Hub for juveniles. And what we found this year, after we came out of COVID, was that I don't want to speak for the administration, but basically it's not as receptive. So we have tried and haven't met with success. There is a federal law, FERBER Act, that's used much the same way as HIPAA is used in the medical field, at which point they do not provide the information they once did. So if we are to find out anything, like for instance, we knew nothing about the fight at the high school between the females because they kept the school resource officer, the West North School Resource Officer, out of that. So he couldn't provide us with any information. He provides us with what information he knows when he can, if it leads back to Norristown or if it leads to East Norton or West Norton. But they kept him out of that. So he didn't have any idea that this was going to continue on. He wasn't even sure who the people were that were involved in it because he didn't take any action on that. It was strictly within administration within the high school. So we will continue our outreach regularly. We have developed friends within the school who will give us a heads up when there's something we need to know or something that, but it's all back channeled. It's not, it's not strictly from the administration. So we'll continue our outreach. We'll continue to try to push. We'll continue to try to, build that relationship up at some point. But, we've lost a school resource officer at Stewart. So we noticed a change during COVID, and then when after Floyd, George Floyd, we noticed a change in some of the attitudes towards us. So, I'm not sure exactly how to rectify that, but we'll do what we can, and we'll continue to try to build that relationship.
Councilwoman Smith?
Is there potential maybe for outreach and a relationship that's more preventative in nature than like information when a fight's going to happen? Ideally, like we'd like the fight to not happen at all. And so I'm thinking about maybe ways, to what Hakeem said, like activities and, an outlet for the kids rather than sharing information when it's getting to a point that a kid is going to be arrested. And I don't know if the school district, it would be up to them, would be more receptive to something more preventative in nature. There's a lot of talk about that school to prison pipeline, and obviously we want to keep kids out of the pipeline.
We ran programs in the Norristown Police Department, ran programs in the middle schools. In 2019, we had started building them. 2016, 17, 18, and then 19, we had them pretty honed fairly well. And we brought on an at-youth risk counselor, Ingrid Parker, in order to bridge that gap. So whenever we noticed that there was one of the beautiful things about the juvenile hub that we had was, we sat down and we had all these social services around us, and with the school district and the juvenile probation department. And when we noticed an at-risk youth, before naming who the at-risk youth was or anything else, we had 6-7 contacts with them. We noticed a bad home life. We noticed some issues that we can help with and we can direct resources to. And because everyone at the table was there for that specific reason. So when we identified an at-risk youth, we would discuss what the problems were, what we're seeing, and everything. And then at that point, everyone would be okay, then release the name. So we'd name the child. And 10 times out of 10, almost everyone sitting at the table knew who that person was, knew who that the child was. And at that point, we would just start directing resources to the parents, to Steve Sewell, our juvenile officer, is on the board of Central. And we would routinely, he would routinely refer kids directly to Central and bring the parents along, because a lot of it is special needs kids. And we would, do that. When Amy came on board, we did the same thing. She was very good at it. And she dealt individually with the parents and tried to help them get through the process. But it got to the point where, the school district doesn't necessarily want any involvement from Ingrid, from our side and stuff. So, we had plans and things that we were trying to do, and for whatever reason, they are no longer being. And we've reduced the amount of juvenile arrests that we've made. We were making strides. So, I don't know how else the police department can, especially in high school. By the time they get to the high school, other than giving them the social service things that we can give them or direct towards them. By the time they get to the high school, they're already kind of made, so we wanted to get elementary and middle school kids because we thought we could still reach them. We could build relationships with them through the school resource officer for the programs that we were running. And it seems like we've gone back a couple strides. So ever since the pandemic hit, I'm not sure what we can do. At the high school, they have continual fighting. I think they have fights at the high school. Some involve our people, some involve other people. I'm not sure that does well either. So I don't know what East Norton and West Norton can do in their schools. I just know what we've tried to do, and we had success at initially. So.
To also respond to that from the administration's side of the table. So I know some of the council members were in attendance at the NAACP meeting last week, and I spoke at that meeting, kind of give an update where we were with the police department, but the issue, this issue of violence, particularly among the kids, came up, and I made a commitment that night to work within the NAACP to see if we can get to the table with the school district, council, to start the kind of maybe a facilitated discussion by a third party that's not from around here about how we could address it, including the kids. To have that. But the other thing that we've been looking at, and I had meetings and discussions with Chief Dillon, with Jane, with Kathy, Finance Director, to talk about those other outlet activities we can do. Part of what you guys wanted to do with Roosevelt Field when you were trying to acquire that was to try to create that venue, and that again has stalled. But we did reach out to our consultants who are helping us with this ARPA money to see if, because of both the connection from a human services, social services side, if we can use a portion of the funding to deal with all of the trauma around violence in youth as funding, but in conjunction with that to deal with giving them something else to do, whether or not we can use another portion of those funds to actually go back to develop that Polly Park skate park and the facility out there to give folks another alternative. So we're waiting right now. We think certainly in terms of if it was the QEC requirements that HUD has, that we think we're already there, and if it's, I think one of the things with the Rescue Plan Act money is that there has to be a significant impact in the target area for Black and brown people. we meet that, and so hopefully once we find out and get the clearance, what we're going to be bringing back to you guys, and I told us let's do it as seriously, quickly as possible. A piece where we try to address those. I connected Angelique also with Tara Gardine, the Health and Human Services Director. I talked to Lee Sotasiak as well about county money being put into it, some of their ARPA being put into it as well. And Angelique had informed me that she had already talked to and Valor Cush, Kim Lawrence about doing it as well. So right now we're working on our end to see from a standpoint of funding for our kids how we might be able to do it, to get a package in front of you that would address the trauma part of it, the facilitation of the bodies getting together with a third party. It's really not just the body, it's a community getting together with a third party facilitator to have a kind of community discussion to really address and pinpoint some real tangible things we can do. And then the third part, like I said, is to, can we use these funds to make a significant development in Foley Park, to give kids an additional outlet, particularly, older kids, an additional outlet to go. And I know things like, the grant you guys, and some others helped with getting through Keep Norristown Beautiful, to address the little garden project that for the younger kids, So those are things that we're doing, and we'll continue to do that. But I want to get something in front of you guys within the month, hopefully, if I can get all of the other players in the county and Angelique's team together, and we'll come back with a package for you.
Thank you. Council, any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Chief. We'll move on to recreation. In order.
Well, I kind of gave you, I am next, sorry. I'm like, the heck? No, I'm just kidding. I did kind of give you somewhat of a update. I'll just go over it a little bit more. I've really mainly been focused on budget and flood number 2. So, good news is we were able to open the first floor again. Plumbing is fully fixed. That's what was kind of holding us up for a little bit. This time, with the water being 2 more feet higher than what it was before, it got into like smaller sewage pipes, like the flushing out pipes that are connected more to the sewer, whereas the first time it really wasn't affected too bad. So we were shut down a little longer just because we needed running water for the community, I should say. So just losses that I know everybody knows. Just so you also know, first time the water came about 4 feet, we were looking at about 5.5 to maybe 6 in some areas. Basement, we were able to salvage the floors and the ceiling tiles, which I'm very excited about because the floors literally, I felt we sent the last check for the first time on Monday. Wednesday they're gone. So we did salvage ceiling tiles and floors, and they actually, they held up even after sort of Pro was done with their cleaning up part of it. We have an issue with the fire alarm, so all the pull down alarms, the water was above them, so we have ADT working to get them back in place. We're just going to need the same thing, HVAC units and new HVAC compressors outside, but something we are doing and working with the HVAC contractor, we're going to raise all the indoor units and raise the units outside, put them on platforms. This way, we have a better chance than before. We had today, IT-wise, we just lost 1 modem. So that is elevated. I'm not sure if anybody's seen it, but the prior owners, I guess, or people who ran the building, it was raised. So that's where we did luck out. But there are also, and even with some of the electrical boxes that are raised, the water even came up pretty high. So we lost some of our electrical boxes, like the major boxes as well this time. We lucked out with no contents except maybe some janitorial supplies, cleaning supplies, whereas before we had all that contents, including the furniture. And we lucked out with our the porcelain toilet seats and the porcelain sinks that we had ordered were on back order, and so they weren't in yet for install. So we were waiting on the downstairs boys and girls locker rooms to get finished, so we didn't lose those this time. However, side note, they got flooded out in their own building, but at least they weren't with us. So it's something that we don't have to put in again, which is a good thing. With Latchall, Latchall got hit the hardest, and mainly because working with Chestnut Hill, we agreed to redo the infield with that. They laid sod. They got Chiron Environmental Services, and they laid their sod. So that was our main issue with Latch Hill is our infield got completely wiped out. The fencing held up better. We did lose, again, all of the infield mixes, the warning track. We lost the backstop padding. Basically the same thing. And if I can say the water comes in at the exact same spot from left field. So that exact same spot, kind of got wiped out. Little League held up very well, much better than before. Because we, like this change where we're saying, we went and put all of the safety, the safety stuff in and made it more stronger, more efficient. It all held up. So the first time we lost all of the backstops, we lost all of that caged-in fencing, we lost, all three, I guess. This time, all the backstops held up. Your dugouts held up, just the outfield where the water kind of came down. So materials and outfield fencing, which I'm pretty happy about because that was a major project. Riverfront was the only, on my park tour, Riverfront was the only park that I saw had damage, and it's already been, Thomas and his public works team already did the remediation for it. There was down trees, the storage container was moved, a lot of mud, there was loss of plants and shoreline, but that I feel is inevitable with that. But we did luck out. Last time we had a problem at Bartash, we had a problem at the Tot Lot, we had problems throughout other parks, and this time we did it. So I find it interesting just how, more water, more velocity, more volume, less damage, but is what it is. On a happy note, our concerts, our concerts and movie nights were very successful. We averaged, our concerts were about 100 people, maybe 75 to 100. And with our first time running our movie nights, I think we had upwards of 50 people at some of these. So I thought that was very successful. I felt, and we're going to continue we're going to do Halloween night, and we're going to do them in Christmas, and that'll be indoors in the gym area. So really, other than that, we've just been very busy on budget and getting the building functioning so that the kids can come right away.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to planning and municipal development. Ms. Mansani.
Thank you, Vice President LaPera. Good evening, Council. I won't really have much to say this, which is shocking, but for the month of August, it was, in our department, it's kind of slow. There's not much construction being done. It's usually when we're just catching up with projects, tying up projects, loose ends. But just to let you know, we did advertise the change that you authorized for the mortgage, and the consultant has started receiving applications for those for that program. And at the next reporting period, I'll be able to let you know how many people have reported and how many have gone through in that. We also got into a discussion with the Greater Valley Forge Transportation Management Association for the zoo trolley. We're trying to figure out if we could get additional funding to make that zoo trolley that connects the zoo and the downtown activities a reality. I know the zoo bought the trolley, but we just looked at the possibility of shoring that up with additional funding. So we're still in discussions, and hopefully we'll be able to get something that will assist us with that endeavor. You are aware, because Council, you did approve the M&M presentation, which we facilitated through the Planning Commission. It was received well, and we're thankful that that process is ongoing. We're now just waiting for the developer to get into that agreement with the Redevelopment Authority, and then we can start on that whole leg of the land development process that you'll be seeing in the near future. Staff has been participating in several training programs with HUD. As you know, some of my staff is pretty new, so they have to go through the training processes of rules and regulations pertaining to CDBG and other types of programs of that nature. I attended the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment of Professionals training. It was a lengthy one, about 4 days. So at least that training is under the radar now. We don't have to worry about it anymore. Just wanted to also let you know, because this is a question that had been asked about the Zachary restaurant. We are meeting tomorrow for the pre-construction meeting. The applicant, Chef Taylor, has provided the bids, and we're going to be looking at the lowest bid, and we're going to get into a discussion of the schedule with our engineer, who will be part of that meeting, and we'll monitor that and give council updates as we go along. We'll let you know when the start date is, and then we'll let you know of the progress as that goes along. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Councilwoman?
Do we have an update to the old PNC Bank? I mean, I'm rolling off of council at the end of this year. It's been about maybe 5-6 years in the making of this development to be completed.
Yes, I do have an update. In fact, Arinda just let me know that we're going to have a final inspection for the apartments on October 14th. And so we're doing the final walkthrough. There had been some issues with how the building had to meet certain codes, and it had gone back and forth for quite a while. But finally, we believe those issues have been taken care of. But we should be going for that inspection on the 14th, and I will definitely let council know the outcome of that inspection.
Thank you. And the other final question is, who would be responsible for the trash, the loitering of the property?
On which property?
Al Haddad's property. Because as you walk up Sweet Street, it looks really bad. Those containers.
He would be responsible as far as his property goes. And I do believe there's other businesses there too, but if he's not
really
taking
bad.
care of his...
I took a walk today. It's bad.
Okay, we'll follow up.
Council, any other questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Really? Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.
So,
Sonia, you have